So speaking about that, returning to the page, kind of like returning to the yoga mat, being a daily consistent practice.
Yep.
And it's in that practice where you get to hone your craft.
Yeah.
I read that you carved out your writing time from 4 in the morning to 7 in the morning to produce your book.
I did.
So tell me about that experience. Had you done that before?
No, you know what, I picked up on that. I saw Susanna Grant speak at a WGA panel, and she had 3 kids, and she said that her best time to write was 4 a.m. and I started thinking about it, and I thought, I always wake up at 4.
Do you really?
Yeah, and I always thought, I always wake up at 4. I'd go back to sleep till 5, but you know, because I usually go to the gym in the morning, but I thought, I wonder if there's a reason I'm always waking up at 4. So she said, you know, writing right after the dream state is the best time to write. So I thought, let me see if it works.
Yeah.
And it was awesome because I recognized I had a full-time company that was really growing by the day. And to keep on top of that, I had to have this time set aside because I wouldn't be able to write during the day when I was reading scripts and taking meetings. So it was like, okay, if you want to get this done, this is a routine that you have to practice and be in. And when you show up in front of a blank page at the computer in the morning, it is an amazing thing because it's so quiet. And because it's so quiet, you're with your thoughts and they just come out. I've had writers say to me, I had a writer ask me the other day, you know, what do you do about writer's block? And I said, you know, knock on wood, I haven't experienced it in the sense that I think I've been driven by the other side of my brain, which is the belief that you have to set a goal and accomplish it. And so it's looking at, okay, I've got to write a blog for the Huffington Post. I've got a newsletter coming up that I have to put that blog on. How do I, and it's, the universe works in wild ways because like my latest blog that I just put on my newsletter today, it deals with the Tillman story and the idea of the story behind the story and what we do to seek truth. And so it inspired that blog. Me watching that inspired in me, okay, this is a lot of what my book is about. This is a lot, and I've read, and it is a wild thing when you're going through a life place when suddenly all these other things fall into your lap or into your consciousness that are exactly what you would connect with because of what you're going through.
You know, it sounds to me like that morning period for you, that was void of those distractions that happened during the day. It sounds like you keyed into a period of time when the debris of the day was not present, right? So kind of the flow was very clear for you,
right? And
it sounds like some of the practices you engage in, meditation and yoga and so forth, are kind of to align with that clearing.
Definitely. Well, clarity is the key to everything in story and in life. So I think the reason most people struggle with story and struggle with goals in story is because they struggle with goals in their own life. And so it really is learning how to start with small goals that you can achieve and start to build toward bigger goals and believe that you can achieve them, because believing in it is probably the most important ingredient of success. You know, I would say most of the writing careers I've helped launch, they knew that success was coming.
Was imminent. It was just a matter of when. Well, it goes back to the attitude you spoke of staying positive and I'm wondering, as far as tuning into your authenticity and your truth, what has been the most influential practices in your life? You've mentioned many.
Yoga, spinning, meditation, definite breathing. I definitely am very big into the idea understanding your breath and learning the yoga breath and, you know, really being conscious of it, being in the moment. Definitely not attaching to an outcome. And I think that's a constant thing that we all have to be in. Like with my book coming out, it was wild because I had a woman tell me it was climbing in the ranks, not of just hot new releases, but of all screenwriting books. And she's like, "You're number 15." And I was like, "Oh my God, how did that happen?" And you know, only my favorite authors were ahead of me, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is crazy." The next day, I was number 27. The next day, I was number 47. And I was just like, okay, you can't attach to this outcome because it's always changing.
Right.
And that's not the message of why you did what you did.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then she writes me on the day that I was way down, and she goes, "All right, I'm going to make you really happy because you're number 1 in hot new releases." And I was like, see? It's a balance, and it's learning, okay, be in the moment when it is, and then let it go. And not stay attached to this is what it has to be. You know, when writers say, well, what if I never sell this pilot? Well, the cold hard truth is 95% of pilots aren't going to sell. But do you want to write it? Absolutely. Could it serve as a major calling card in your writing portfolio? Absolutely. So is that story in you dying to come out? If it is, then go to the page, because that is where you're going to be able to make sense of your life and the process as well. So it's a win-win.
Right.
And then, you know, yeah, hopefully you'll be able to sell it. And I've seen it happen. I've had clients sell pilots that have gone on to series, and you know, and then you got to be in that, because that's huge too.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing to say I want that destination, but then like I've been with showrunners in New York when their series gets picked up, and the overwhelm of I have now got to produce this series. It's huge.
It's huge.
It's huge.
And comes with a whole other set of challenges and opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the recurring theme that seems to keep coming up is really focus on the practice of the process, and allow what gets produced out of that practice to unfold gracefully,
right?
Without being attached or essentially being attached to any of that.
Yes, yeah.
Storyline: Finding the Gold
in Your Life Story.
In Your Life Story.
Right.
Really excited to read
Thank
that.
you.
Yes, because I understand it's a book that not only draws out the writer's creativity, but it also touches on spiritual themes and
huge. It's huge on. I've had feedback so far. It's been out in stores just a few days now, and it's been on Amazon.com for 2 weeks. And it's definitely, you know, I had one interviewer ask me, and it was a very interesting question, who had read the book, who said, I almost feel like it's a disservice to put this book in just the how-to section of writing, because it's so much more than that. Do you feel? And I said, and then another person said it's kind of half memoir, half craft, and that was my intention. My intention was every other chapter is how you draw from your life, and that goes into the spiritual component and the healing. How you draw from your life, and then every other chapter is how you put it into your story. So it is definitely a mixture of business life, spiritual, as my blogs are on the Huffington Post, mixed with writing as a component. Yeah.